we got a great match ahead of us here, and a lot of people have already kind of put Optic Gaming in that spot to win this series, and honestly, it's looking that way. But if there's one team that can cause an upset, it's going to be Native Red. I mean, this is one of the most aggressive squads in the HCS.
Right.
And, you know, Optic, most of the time, ready for that, but I wouldn't be surprised if this Native Red roster takes maybe this game number 1.
I think looking back in our HCS history for Infinite, you could argue that Native was one of, if not the fastest teams on the map. And I think that's their only real advantage they have to play off of in this series. If they can kind of overwhelm them with aggression, like you had mentioned, maybe there's an opportunity. My worry is Optic. They are the quickest to adapt out of any team in the league, regardless of play style. They can, find ways to kind of break through. I'm going to be looking to a player like Druk or SoulSnipe to really find those, those overextends to flank, to stay alive a little longer than, intended, and create those big opportunities, allow KCP to play their fast game. Either way, Tim, I'm just excited to get the games going.
I'm very excited. You know what, Shyway, maybe Manny went on to eUnited and just kind of took some things and learned some things as well. You got the mastermind Ryan on that squad, so we'll see if Manny kind of plays a different style here as well. But right off the bat, we're getting started with TriPPPeY, and that's going to be an initial stick. And again, we got to talk about these power weapons. This power weapon control, so very vital. We saw it in the Sentinels phase series. So that's 3 dead for Optic right off the bat. And like I talked about power weapons, look at Mr. SoulSnipe, already has a sniper and taking A.
And here I was just about to talk about the fact that we got Formal finally on screen in our Halo tournament. One of my favorite players to watch, but SoulSnipe stealing that Thunder with some beautiful movement and a snipe in hand as well. Looks like Manny comes away with the OS here too. All the artillery they could need to lock Optic down early on. They've got it. And something you'd like to see Native hold on to. Unless was that a team nade? By the way,
It might have been.
Either way, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and you see Native Red starting off really, really strong here in this game, but you said it yourself, Optic Gaming is one of those teams that can quickly adapt, and they do on a dime right away. They finally get 2 caps on the board, and the sniper switch hands, as well as the heat wave, into Formal's hands.
Formal with an opportunity to give us an early play. Oh, but it's shut down by a sneaky little flank and a Druk. He'll come away with the weapons. Clean up a second. Turns and burns Lucid, apparently. And he's still got a snipe to work with to help the team here. Little moments like this, Tim, I think are the keys to success, though. Finding a player like Druk to get behind enemy lines and hopefully come away with some big plays.
One of the things that Druk has, in my opinion, is going to be that passion, Shyway. He's got massive passion, and so do the rest of Native Red. That being said, let's go into a listen-in and see what the passion sounds like on this squad.
There's a heat wave down fucking there.
I didn't get it.
Fine.
Okay,
there's a heat wave.
OS. I'm in TriPPPeY. I already. TriPPPeY's done mid.
Yeah, he wants
Two cuts. That's their OS. Bottom tower mid, coming in.
One shot bottom. There's 2 bottom mid. He has heat wave. Last 2 bottom mid. And one's on Ovi. Last 2 bottom mid, one's on Ovi.
Alright. Let's get our points.
I can hear you doing
Got one going. Nice. Just do that for a sec. I'm at B. I'm going to
I have shield TriPPPeY guys. I have shield.
I gotta be done on Ovi.
We K-Box.
Still weak. Really weak cement. One it back B, APG. And they're my nest, I think. I died. 2 B. Let's hit right.
I did B. He's weak in the tube, I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go right with Manny.
Nice.
We have a kill.
Still two dead.
Yeah, I'm looking for you.
Same spawn now.
Sorry, Manny. I'm gonna get and see.
Spawn day.
Alright.
Jump up, Manny. Jump up. Watch out the nades. Nice.
I'm watching guys.
One time around you.
Nice. Hit.
I can help.
MB.
He's 2 shots. And last guy top mid, APG.
On the stairs.
Nest
Spawn outside, dummies.
Heard you.
Yeah, we can hold AB.
I'm just looking at B.
Sniper spawning now.
I'm looking dice. I don't see anything.
Yeah, I'm
Left snipe. One top mid APG throwing. Mangler, he pushed A.
One turn in me, guys. 2A in me.
Alright, I'm coming in.
I have him weak.
Stays one. I see it.
Good shit.
I'm holding B.
One top mid. He's smaller.
I hear this stretch.
Back here.
What are you saying?
Communication sounds really solid out of this Native Red roster, and it's all due to the fact that they've been together for so long. They have that chemistry, and they're able to utilize that, and potentially they're able to utilize that to take this lead as well soon here, Shyway.
I think my favorite thing about the comms is just, keeping in mind how many players they have dead on the map and playing aggressively off of that. Like, what are the numbers, especially the small talk in between when they die, where they spawned, and just having a full knowledge, I think, of the situation to ensure that they can keep the advantages when they know they have the advantages. Despite it, they've been struggling. At least they were struggling to take the map back. Here's a nice little flip out of Native Res. They got the snipe, and all 3 caps in their favor, making an OS pickup as well. Now it's Optic's turn to find an answer.
Yeah, and on the other end of things, I want to see what Optic's doing to kind of rally themselves. And honestly, in this situation, when they just had to deal with a triple cap, 100-65 is now the lead for Native Red. Let's go into a listening with Optic and see what they're saying to bring this game back.
Watch your nest, Joey. Watch your nest. Yo,
Nest one a day.
Alright, this guy here. Drop the pillars. I'm gonna hold. He's in A2 and 2 minutes.
I'm going top middle, guys.
Hey, bottom mid as well. Dummies, I think. Dummies. Bottom mid right now. Bottom mid, Keydor.
Yeah, right on me. Keydor.
So sing Keydor.
Hey, weak, SoulSnipe. Another one there.
He can kill Keydor. I got him.
I'm on it. I'm going top middle. I think he's up.
Yeah,
just RD and C. We can see. We can see, guys. I have nades on it.
I'm working my way
Absolute. 2 dummy door. One's one shot. One's bottom middle, Manny. Bottom mid, one shot, Manny. Dead.
Can't see my door.
2 dead.
I'm in tower, guys. I'm in tower.
Never killed Taulek. He was cut somewhere. He cuts.
I got ring.
I'm going back to B, guys. I'm going back to B. Me too.
I hear that. I'm holding tower.
A pot, Druk, weak. You're alone, Matt. One shot, A pot, absolutely.
Big door, bottom. Yeah, watch your bottom. Big door still. I'm dropping. I can't watch your big door.
You're good.
We're good over here.
Okay, hold on. Somebody sits
Nest bridge.
weak, SoulSnipe. Stuck me.
Be pushing. Big door. Back green. Drop my tires. In pillars. Pillars. I hear pillars.
River and B killed me. Pillars on me.
Left-hand snipe at 20.
Absolutely.
One shot elbow. I'm going tower. There's a heat wave down there.
Mini heat wave.
We still have C.
Make sure we play through for the solo.
Yeah, we got OB soon, guys. Elbow one shot. Nice.
A pot?
Yo, play A pot right now. A pot.
One of the big things I hear in that listening is just the presence of Coach Lunchbox, being able to be in the ear, being that extra voice of communication, and also, of course, Formal. The man communicates so incredibly fast, and there's Druk. Beautiful return to sender on that stick.
And that's the thing, is they are trying to stay calm, cool, and collected despite the clear pressure that Native have been putting on them early on in this series. Here, Druk looking to do a little more of that dangerous little jiggle peek to go for, though. APG, extra shields to hopefully hold him off. There's the melee that goes through. That weapon changes hands, and I like to play it at APG to quickly get out of the fray here. Give myself an opportunity.
Not only does the weapon change hands, but the lead does as well. Optic Gaming taking a lead once again in this game and looking to carry the momentum, but 2 go down for them. And honestly, these power weapons are so very important. I did talk about how aggressive Native Red were with the likes of, Druk and Taulek, the Slayers on the squad, being able to just play aggressive and throw this Optic roster off on the very first game of the series. But it looks like Optic has kind of read them in that sense, and they're starting to adapt to this playstyle quick.
I mean, it's pretty back and forth for sure, though. Just a 10-point separation. The kills looking a little different, though, thanks to TriPPPeY making a double. Everyone in double digits on the side of Optic Gaming. Weapons in their hands as well. Formal looking to delete one. Comes out with a trade. Manny in position to at least pick up the scraps here. It's up to Native Red to start to dictate the pace on this one again, because Optic have very clearly slowed it down, taken position, made it more difficult for Native to find answers to break through to B and C.
I think the big factor here is to potentially get Lucid off of that tower. He's controlling towers so very well. He's been able to pretty much stay up there all game long. And honestly, the damage he's able to output on players like Manny who are trying to cross just like that is just very important. They've got to maybe prioritize getting him off a tower if they want to push this C hold, but they seem to be just content with that A-B setup.
It's all going to come down to the OS in the end. Lucid on top of it already. Druk tries his hand, but Formal in position to shut him down. TriPPPeY going to push up on A. Should be an easy OS pickup for Optic here. Manny still trying to delay things, make it tough, and does get the kill on TriPPPeY. Credit to him. He'll slide out because YOLO. But at this point, Optic, with the resources they have, they can retake the map. And Native, they got to watch out, especially with Formal and the extra damage.
A great job by Formal to kind of put so much damage into both players. You saw him switching targets mid-fight there. That's exactly what you want to do as an overshield player. Be able to provide that value so that your teammates can just clean up the kills. And you see him already with 10 assists. He's been involved in many fights in this first game.
The biggest thing with Formal is just the way he places that reticle pre-fight. So ready to hit the shot, cut off your opponent's opportunities here. Manny Getting shut down here as well. SoulSnipe trying to find one, but he can't. He's met by 2 players. Trippy with the finisher. Taulek in position to try to stop the bleeding, but he can't even do that. APG locking down A. Big win for Taulek, though. Does give him access to slow the points here, but ultimately Native in a tricky position. Somehow Formal finding a backsmack and a snipe.
They're able to get A off of that 1v1. That will potentially convert it to B, but Formal is going to hit a beautiful headshot there. SoulSnipe trying to retake, but Formal having this sniper. Is right. The damage he's able to output. My goodness gracious, get the sniper out of this man's hands.
You got to watch the spawns. Little lesson from Formal right there. Split spawner. Manny had no idea it was coming. And he's still got ammo left to burn. 230 and counting. Taulek down for the count. Native running out of opportunities to get to a hill at this point. They're going to have to scamper to do it. Big kill for SoulSnipe. Make it 3. Native with a last-ditch effort here. They'll earn control of B, and SoulSnipe getting... wanted to get a little more than he bargained for. Trippy holds him down.
Native Red is such a momentum-based team. Without this first game win, I don't see this series being possible for them to come out on top of. And something I'm noticing so often is, of course, Coach Lunchbox and the value he brings to this roster. Trippy gonna miss a nade there, but Optic have pretty much gotten every overshield in this game thus far, and it's really caused them to continue this lead. But it looks like Native Red is scrapping their way back.
Their only choice at this point, try to claw their way into some of these hills. Stop Optic in 1v1 fights. Big trade for Druk. SoulSnipe in position to pick up as well. Taulek with him. They'll push up the B. Still got the rotation on the map. It's got to be perfect Halo from here on out, though. 9 points left to close this. APG breaking into B. SoulSnipe big close. Still got to get a second here. Repulses him out. He's got Druk with him to get the kill on Trippy. Manny now. He delayed the fight long enough to take APG, take control of the hill, make it a double for Manny. Technically, they can still do this, Tim.
That was absolutely huge, not only to get that kill onto APG, but also to get the kill onto Formal, who came off a spawn. APG doing a really good job of milking his life there, but unfortunately, he did not milk it enough. And it looks like Native Red are starting to bring this back, but you have to look at Optic's scoreline, 241. One more setup break, and this could be Optic's game.
That break's coming in. 2 through pillar door. Formal up top mid. He actually got denied by Taulek. Trippy shut down by SoulSnipe. Their push is not quite working out. That leaves Optic with, I think, one final chance to break through here. BC lockdown. SoulSnipe repositioning back tower. Looks like outside is the play. Lucid, he's hiding behind the ramp with a heat wave.
Sneaky.
They know he's here. Can he shut down the game? It's up to him. He's repulsed out from tower. He's got to try again. The team here with him as they do collapse on C. They'll stop the timer, but look at that scoreline. Oh, no.
They're all collapsing. Formal has to win this fight. He does not. The double kill comes out. Native, they're going to take game number 1 unless someone stops in the hill. There it is. Native Red taking game number 1. This could potentially be the momentum they need. What a great game.
KCP, they slow it down at the end. They hold position, hold perimeter. You see them use the resources to their advantage as well. Lucid, he was in a sneaky spot, right? He had the heat wave, tried to shut it down, but how was he denied? He was denied by the use of the repulsor top tower. And the team play at the end, and the confidence out of Druk. Do you see that personality out of Druk? The body shots to close it. And hopefully that doesn't come back to bite him, but what a way to start the series.
I love this Elgato replay here. It just shows us the big turning points in the game, the moments that literally changed this game's outcome. And it was moments like that play from Lucid. You talked about it. He was patient on the tower here. He stayed alive as best as possible. Optic had power up and control for most of that game. And I thought right there, that was the game changer out of Formal with that snipe in hand. But Native Red somehow come back in this game and take that game number 1. And like I said, I didn't see Native Red winning this series if they lost the game number 1, but that was not the case. This was a huge play by Druk for the double, and he makes Formal eat his words.
My dude Druk with the body shots after the AR kill. If that's not mental destruction, I don't know what is. I think he's trying to check someone, and that's probably the only hope that Native would have, would be to check the opposition, get them in their own heads, and take advantage while they've got the little opportunity to do so. Of course, board on screen, though, we can see the stats and how they went. Honestly, a little uncharacteristic, I want to say, for Lucid to be negative in this one. Of course, when you lose, typically somebody's got to go neg in it. But Lucid, someone you expect to be the kill earner for the squad, kind of setting the pace, the potential for the team here. For him to not find his footing early on, that might be indicative of the performance here in this first game. Tim, no doubt he'll find his way, I assume, partway through here.
Absolutely, and I just got to point out Druk on the other end of things. 6,300 damage with 16 assists in this game, also going positive as well. I believe he was even 15 and 15, but regardless, 16 assists in a game like this where you're outputting that much damage as well is so incredibly huge. And also the fact that he didn't take that much damage as well, so he was staying alive during that whole time, putting in the damage necessary, and a couple of clutch plays as well. But now we move on to Slayer Recharge, and you talk about checked players. You know, Optic Gaming, unfortunately at KC, Formal, if you watch the documentary, he was checked when World 2 hit that incredible shot with a shock rifle while Formal was in Viz with sword. So, you know, maybe they're shooting body because they sense a weakness there. Will that turn the outcome of the game? Most likely not. I think Optic are obviously veterans. They've been through many of these situations before. And, you know, maybe Native Red can turn that first game into some momentum here, but Optic are definitely looking to shut that down right away.
Native Red definitely looking like the biggest wild card at the moment. We talked about a brand new honeymoon. They seem to have found that new honey. It's the same old roster, but they've regained something, and it's surprising some of these teams. Of course, it leads us to a 1-0. One of the biggest things I think you mentioned, though, in the previous match was like the presence of the coaches. Somebody like Lunchbox currently coaching Optic, and more than just the coach, I think it was just the morale of the team, how they slowed that game down, how they kept their comms, you know, patient and coordinated and played off of each other. It gave them like a dominant kind of lease on the second half of the game. Something fell apart. Obviously, we didn't get to hear the comms in the finale of it, but something must have, you know, kind of collapsed, I think, towards the latter half. They had that lock, though, and that's something I think, you know, we expect to see in Slayer coming up.
Yeah, it's just that pace that this Native Red roster brings. I mean, it's just really hard, especially on a Strongholds map like Livefire, where it's just rotational. Their pace is just so incredibly fast, and if you're not ready for, you know, a flank player like Druk or Taulek, you're going to get thrown off. And many times you saw Optic Gaming kind of caught off in isolated positions. You heard it in the comms. We were doing a listen-in. You know, I think it was TriPPPeY that said, you know, Matt, you're alone right now, and then he loses a 1v1 to Druk. It's situations like that completely break setups and that allow Native Red to have the numbers advantage, obviously, and turn that into some objective time.
And well, it's working so far for Native Red, and I can't wait to see if the strategy continues, Tim, or if it's just some early energy. Will Optic, you know, adapt and start to conquer later in the series? Wouldn't be surprised if we saw it either. One thing I can promise, though, Tim, is some good Halo on either side here.
Absolutely.
It's already kicked off and surprised us, and I'm wondering if this is a series that goes to a Game 5.
That would be really interesting, and that would surprise me, and I think everybody as well in the chat. I think that, you know, Optic is obviously the stronger team here. This would absolutely be an upset if Native Red were even able to take a second game from Optic, but we'll find out. Like you said, that honeymoon stage real strong, but is it strong enough to deal with the likes of TriPPPeY?
TriPPPeY just opened things up straight through center map. On top of getting two, he got the damage to weaken SoulSnipe, make it easy for APG to clean up. Leaving Taulek is the last alive. I like this play from Taulek. Very sneaky. Oh my god, he gets involved in between two. Almost lands a stick, but would have been a massive play if he pulled it off. The only big advantage apart from the slays is, of course, Formal just sitting here gathering information with the camo.
I really like that play by Formal, though.
Nice.
He does get the kill on the Manny. He has the camo, but positioning himself on the grapple, standing still, waiting for someone to jump up. Someone jumps up to that shock. They're at a disadvantage of at least 2 shots, so he instantly gets that kill, and he's able to kind of break it. But regardless, gets the kill anyway, utilizing that camo. But a very close game here. We're tied up.
Native Red pulling it back immediately. A nice little pinch forming here, too. Manny and SoulSnipe working together to find the collapse on a couple unfortunate players down by stacks. Formal going to prey victim to it as well. That leaves Lucid, APG on the perimeter. Not quite in position to find a trade here either, but in a good spot on the map to hopefully deny the challenge from Native. Holding hands. They were. APG with a denial on Manny. SoulSnipe in position to get involved here too. Lucid, he's got the perfect counter for that, though.
That was a great play by APG. There was a triple push on the long haul. APG was isolated, but he wins the fight, backing off the 2 other players from Native Red that were pushing. Great heads-up play and great individual fight. That's what you like to see.
Optic continue to hold down this line. Full perimeter on the map. APG in position, that same spot, like you said. Use it to shut down Native on the approach. The only issue with Optic's setup is it's not quite the best place to be to fight for camo. You can see Native might actually be holding off staying, or actually, they might not have a choice but to combat the push from Formal. He's starting to get reckless here. He wants to get involved.
There's one reason why they just got both of those kills and the lead as well, and it's the fact that they held both power positions on both sides of the map, on top of glass and also catwalk. Very heads-up play by Optic, especially with that camo coming up. We'll see if they're able to convert that into a bigger lead.
Well, they converted it into a shock pickup, and there's the kill you've been waiting for. The moment that Lucid wakes up, you wonder if that's just the beginning of a little momentum swing for Optic. Lucid still got the weapons to work with. If they don't shut him down, this could get out of hand pretty quick.
There's one thing about Lucid. You know, everyone kind of saying he's one of the best players in the game, and I agree. But he's got different levels, different switches that he can pull at any moment. You can say that maybe he was not trying as hard as he could in that very first game. Starting off this game very, very strong, but again, Native Red, their aggression pays off, and they catch Lucid off guard.
That's a big shutdown you want to see from Native early on if they want to hold on to any sort of position in this series. Of course, still fighting from a deficit down by 4. Not quite able to get the position they want on the map here as well. SoulSnipe, we've seen him in that hall time and time again, right? It's the flank that he tends to go for. APG seems to know his position in gold side. He shut it down multiple times, making SoulSnipe and Manny hesitate on the challenge here.
One of the big things that I want to see is Native Red and how they're, you know, taking that momentum from game number 1 and utilizing it in this game number 2. Let's go into a listen-in with Native Red and see what the comms sound like.
Lucy, I'm tired. Running back. And bomb tower. Good top glass.
Camo and 10. When you spawn, play for camo, guys.
Alright. Yeah, I think we just need to make it. We should get.
We're gonna play for camo. We're doing a red break that we do.
I'm gonna go bottom mid. I'll spawn.
Top A, weak, have shields.
Right there.
Turbine.
Weak top A.
One's bottom A, one shot. Nice. Needles, we're looking. Top red, needles.
I lived. We're good.
Nice. I'm pushing bottom A.
Nice.
Half wall,
Half a one.
Guy red. Trippy was inside red.
He's running red.
One shot red.
He was inside red.
I'm trying to get back to tower. I'm trying to get back to tower.
Manny, I'm already on
tower here.
Alright, once. I will.
Manny, push him out.
I'm getting camo wide.
Long.
Just reset for a second.
Dude, fuck.
This guy Ballage.
Where
I can't really do
is
anything.
I'm pushing red. Yeah, one C stack.
Two triple stack, 2 bottom mid. They're grappling top tower. Both
Watch top red. Watch top red. Four more running out. Four more shot now. Top red. Better do something.
Alright.
I'm getting pulled out.
This guy top red and this guy blue pipes.
One spawn day though.
Above me.
Yeah, C-pot.
During that listen-in, Optic started to get a lead, Shyway, but the comms stayed the same on the side of Native Red. And that just goes to show some composure out of this squad. It's great to see. Hopefully they can convert that to potentially come back in this game, because right now they're down by 6.
That's the thing, is Optic can continue to shut them down. We've seen some great, well-coordinated plays out of Native to try to flip the script. I think that camo pickup was a great opportunity. They called it in advance. They had Taulek push up through red while the camo was collected to draw the attention and let SoulSnipe get away safely. It didn't matter too much, though, did it? The weapon's still being controlled by Optic, and Formal still finding heads.
This is where it gets scary. The momentum shift has gone in the favor of Optic Gaming, and when they get momentum, when they sniff blood, they go for it like sharks in the water. Optic is slaying the opposition. And it's all coming down to this man on your screen right here with a shock rifle in hand, trying to make something happen, but he uses a sticky instead. Formal's starting to heat up.
If at first you don't succeed, stick again. Is it? I don't know. Just a fun perseverance there. Formal gonna keep trying. He's tagging, that's for sure. Just a threat, right? If you chow this man, oh, you know what? SoulSnipe gonna try to sneak his way. Instead, paid the price. Formal that one shot, looking for more here. I think he's finally out of ammo. Looks like Native's not safe, though. APG on the prowl.
Yeah, another camo for Optic Gaming here. Power weapons and power-ups are the reason that they're up in this game. Native Red have done a great job of coordinating pushes together. Those 3-man pushes. The small talk is great in the comms as well. But one of the best communicators in the game is Formal. And he's communicating well while also doing some incredible slaying. Let's listen to what Optic Gaming sounds like in the communication.
Right now, Tommy? Right now? Kind of weak. Manny's got like one shot on them.
I did nothing. One shot.
I'm watching you still. I'm here, Brad. I'm here, still here, Brad. I'm still here.
Look at that.
Bottom middle, going mango pick. One shot mango pick. Mango jump up. Mango jump up on
Dude, top cat killed me. Top cat. There's like two
Brad,
there.
they might
Matt.
push
There's two
now.
there,
Brad, they might push maybe.
Yeah, no.
Running away. There's two
Look
guys
at Matt. Look at Matt.
Yeah, shotgun's up if we can grab
We
one.
need to make sure we're using our numbers here.
There's two guys tower, guys. There's two guys tower.
And Needler. I just saw a guy Needler.
Silo weak, SoulSnipe. Silo really
Could push
weak.
down. Could push down. Push, Brad.
Watching Needler.
Silo really
Yo,
weak,
caution
SoulSnipe.
pushing us, Matt. Pushing us low.
Here,
Bottom mid. Bottom mid.
Okay, hear that.
Bottom mid. He's still below us.
Flat, weak,
He's
SoulSnipe.
I'm a clap.
I'm looking
You
long.
guys see flat.
One
You guys
shot,
see
one
flat.
shot,
I saw
stairs,
flat.
guys.
Another one see flat. Another one see flat.
One shot stairs. One shot stairs.
Yeah, stairs. One shot, guys.
I think he might have went camo corner.
Still there. Dead.
Nice.
I spawned gold. Top tower. Druk.
Keep holding gold, Matt. Watch your own back. We need to push tower here. Let's push tower.
Let's go.
120. They know we're here. They know we're here.
Go to army. Go to
Yo,
army.
yeah,
Please.
watch your own back, Matt. Watch your own back.
I'm probably fucked, guys.
You might die, man. That's okay.
I'm gonna die.
That's
One
okay.
shot bottom elevator.
We are now approaching a 10-kill lead for Optic Gaming. And you know what? In a game like Slayer, Shyway, it all comes down to playing your life, making sure you're a difficult kill, and we saw Lucid do exactly that.
Lucid, Optic have been doing it beautifully. And TriPPPeY gonna put a little cherry on top of that too, but I just felt like Native have been so tenacious, just trying to, claw their way into this. It's just not working. Like, that survival at a SoulSnipe during the comms, they're like, how did the man live as long as he did? Despite the efforts, it's just not working, right? They keep trying, they keep getting shut down. I think a big part of it is just due to the control of the shock. We saw it in the hands of Lucid, Formal, now TriPPPeY. When you get in front of this man's reticle, or in front of Lucid's fists, it's just curtains. Doesn't matter where you are.
46-31, Lucid starting to heat up. We talked about him having a slow start in game number 1. We also talked about Optic being able to adapt to the playstyle of Native Red. That very aggressive playstyle, and they've done just that in this Slayer game. Only 3 more kills, and they'll close it.
It's looking inevitable at this point. 2 to close. APG with another 49. Matt Formal with the victor on that. Make it a 50-31, nearly a stake. And a definitive answer from Optic to bring our series to a tie.
I'll have medium rare, please. Optic looking as strong as usual. And again, it comes down to that very fast playstyle working, right? But if you're not... Timing. Clutch talked about it yesterday being such an important part of every competitive game.
Yeah.
In esports. And I would even say sports in general. And unfortunately, when the timing is off and you're all kind of pushing on a bad timing, it just turns out like this one. Turns out like this Slayer did. Optic being on top of everything.
Really on top of everything, I think, was the key there. And just having the skill to execute with it, too. I mean, Formal to snap back, still hit the kill. The placement on the reticle here. TriPPPeY finds this one, right? Just beautiful shots. And it's a shock play after. That's all the highlights. It's a shot in a different hand of Optic throughout the whole game. So clearly you can see what the difference maker was in that game. Control of the sandbox, but the execution with it. Native. I'm struggling to get used to the... Native, their timing in certain instances was great. We saw them coordinate that play for the camo pickup midway through the game. It was well-timed. Taulek with the push. The pickup with SoulSnipe. They got out alive. What they didn't have was just a win on their individual fights that followed, maybe due to the sandbox, maybe due to just, pure skill in some circumstances that we witnessed from these boys on Optic. I mean, the scoreboard shows it pretty definitively as well.
I think you said it right there. I think the sandbox plays a big part of it. In those Elgato replays we just saw, like you said, the shock changing hands multiple times, but everybody on Optic able to execute with that shock rifle and making sure to time that is Lunchbox, their coach. They were on top of everything in that game, and, if Native Red won any chance, you cannot give the best team in the world something more to give them more of an edge than they already have. You've got to take those away so you can even up the odds just a bit. But next, we're going on capture the flag on Bazaar. Shyway, what do you think about this map for these two squads?
I think Native has to win it. Just based off of what we witnessed, nearly a stake on Recharge Slayer. Native, they need to avoid Slayer at all costs. You do not want this to go down to a Game 5, I don't think. I think they need to take advantage of their speed on the map, the objective capability they have to hopefully close out Bazaar CTF, Oddball Streets, and end this thing in 4 games, because if they don't, when it comes to just straight-up slays, Optic, right now, they've woken up.
One of the things you got to worry about on this map, how open it is in the very middle, is a player like Formal. Lunchbox called him the moving turret. That is literally what he is. He puts shots into everything. We saw it when he had that overshield. in that play in Strongholds live fire. He just shoots everything, and if he's in a position, if he's in a power position to do something like that, it's going to be scary for Native Red.
See, Tim, what I'm wondering, is that just like a Matt thing? Because I've heard the same thing said about Royal 2. He's just a turret on the map, right? His name is also Matt, so I'm just waiting. If you're Matt, I think you might be destined to be a slow and, turret, aim first, move later. I don't know. Either way, it's working out for Optic. An APG on the prowl here, bottom mid, in the meantime, just to draw the attention.
Unfortunately, his overshield is going to be taken out, but starting this game with some mid-map control is what they need. But look at this stack right there. You've got 2 players on Rocket side, 2 players in the bottom to make sure they get control of these shocks. They convert 2 kills. Can they convert more?
SoulSnipe and Druk, massive impact players in Game 1. Had that same opportunity here in Game 3. Druk tried to find it with a shot. It didn't quite work out. Leaves SoulSnipe to pick up the scraps here. Taulek's still in position. He can find a trade, or at least hope for one. You see Optic playing off each other beautifully here. Baiting and switching, picking up shotties, staying alive, not losing numbers in situations they normally would.
And that's the big thing, right? Getting that shotgun, being in a position to help your teammates so you can secure that power weapon. One of the strongest weapons on this map. Almost to the like of the spikes or the shocks. But again, look at Formal. The moving turret, 3 down. They're going to pull this flag, but they've got to be careful of those locker spawns, and it looks like one makes it through. That's Manny.
Big kill for Manny. He's got an opportunity to slow this down. Opening shots, but look at the shutdown from Lucid. In position with covering fire. If anything, the flag was a bait for Manny and is a trap for his death. That flag is 100% going in. Optic Gaming, a well-coordinated pull around the sleighs. Early on, they already got a pick.
That was a great job by Optic as well. They get 3 down. Of course, there is 1 staggerer that ends up spawning early on that locker side, but the rest spawn on the flag, so they're just able to get it scot-free. And once again, look who has the power-ups in hand. It's going to be Formal of Optic.
Going to get right up in your face with it, too. Taulek, Druk, dead. Manny in position to hopefully slow things down, but Formal with the extra shields. Good luck. Marksman metal, clean up in the bar. APG with the kill on SoulSnipe. They already got shots on the new spawners, your back base. You can feel the pressure Native is under right now. They got to find a way to stabilize it.
Stabilization is going to come from getting off those thruster spawns and potentially maybe even getting this next OS, but you've got to delay for a long time. OS, I believe, and Rockets are coming up next together. And APG, once again, going to get a huge kill. That's going to be 3 dead, but they get the trades onto Optic, so Optic are not really in a position to pull this flag, but they're going to do it anyway.
Oh, no. He has a grapple. Can we go back to Lucid? Does he go for it? Oh, okay. Lucid has
that grapple pull.
His trade. He did it. He must have done it.
Yeah, he did it. He
has a trademark grapple run through top, I guess top or bottom mid, depending on how you want to look at it. The man is so clean with it, and that flag is in the opposite treehouse because of it. They're giving up rockets for this pull. You see Taulek has it, but Native Red are too late to get back to the base and stop the cap.
I think they were maybe in a position where they knew they weren't going to get that cap. Like you said, that grapple play onto market is so incredibly fast, but 2 go down for Optic, and now it looks like Native Red going to try and get... Like, this is what I'm talking about. APG staying alive inside of BR, making sure that they didn't know where he was. He's able to stop this push in time for his teammates to spawn, and now 2 dead for Native Red. And I don't think this flag is going to make it, but it potentially will be a counter cap here for Optic.
Oh, no. Tim, I hate to say it, Native are in shambles. Things are falling apart. This is looking too clean, too coordinated from Optic. They're dying left and right. Flag out bottom center. APG in position to rally with it. OS about to pop up, and no doubt Optic in position to maybe collect that too. They got their numbers bottom. Mid, Druk does get the trade. Taulek line of defense. Native 2 still have their numbers in the base to hopefully slow this one down. They got to get kills to secure it. Manny, Taulek, they fight back. That's a return, maybe a chance, finally, for Native.
Optic ran it 2 times through that alleyway, through the shotgun side, and this time they ran it down bottom mid. Didn't really work out for them. SoulSnipe's going to have the first OS of the game for Native Red. Optic have had 2, so if they can convert on this OS, this could potentially be a cap. But you're playing Bazaar, and 1 cap is not enough. With 7 minutes and 25 seconds remaining, they've got to step this up.
1 cap is a process and a half as well, and we'll see that, right? You got to stop the split spawners. Lucid getting in position to shut that flag down before it gets to a safe zone. They'll try to get on top of it, but Taulek shut down by nades. Manny coming in to pick up the pieces. He's just not fast enough. Doesn't have enough shields to deal with the onslaught that is Optic on the defense.
You said it there. This is the timing and the spawns. They spawn on the thruster. That is Optic. They're able to stop that flag with no problem whatsoever. It's going to be tough. Optic right now can pretty much just play defense. And we talked about Formal, the moving turret on this squad. He's 10-7 to start this game with 5 assists. See how Optic play this, but it's going to take another overshield and maybe some rockets, or get this shotgun out of TriPPPeY's hands, because Optic have had power up and control this entire game.
And they've been using it to just abuse Native. Druk has been having a rough time on this one. I look to Druk as a key to success for Native. If he's able to pop off and play his game, and he's one of the fastest on the map, if he can flank and get away with it, then Native are looking good, but he's 4-10. Not looking good for him. Native going to try to find a way to bounce back. Thankfully, they got time on the board to make it happen. Half the game still left to play. But is that another 6 minutes of blender for Native? I guess we'll find out with the weapons popping up.
That's going to come down to that exactly. This overshield, that double kill is going to be huge. It potentially converts this overshield in the hands of Native Red. So now, if you look at the score line, Optic are up 2-0. But in overshield, they basically trade. Both have had 2 overshields in this game. The Native haven't been able to convert with theirs. And when you have overshield, but then the opposition has rockets, what will you do?
Put Druk in the blender. Apparently, I feel bad. They keep, it's like they're singling him out. At this point, they keep shutting him down on every play he makes. And that just kind of hits the first domino. You see it trickle into a full team wipe. Gives Lucid an Optic positioning to try their hand again. Here, Taulek, nice shutdown. That's something we need to see a lot more of if Native want any chance to defend themselves.
This is one of the better Bazaar CTF games I've seen in competitive play. I just feel like Optic has gotten a lot better at this game type, and it's kind of showing. Their timing is really like solid, and they're able to convert on the flags, and the flag poles and the flag caps are clean. There's not a lot of staggering in between on the run. It has a lot to do with coordination and these power positions that Optic are taking. But look at that. Oh my goodness, TriPPPeY is able to stay alive. That's the type of stuff I'm talking about. Being able to stay alive and play your life in situations like that.
They're just unkillable. Like, you look at, it's not even like Druk's fault, right? Like, you look at his POV and they're impossible to kill. Like, they just Spider-Man their way out of a fight and perfectly timed replacement with another player to clean them up. You have to play it slow in those situations and respect it. TriPPPeY, no respect on this double. They're getting aggressive. That's 3 dead. They're looking for a flag.
This Bulldog is so incredibly strong. Look at Lucid as well. 14, 10, and 11, having an incredible game. All members of Optic are pretty close to that double-digit assist mark. And like you said, they've been helping each other. And again, those 1v1s, you don't want to give those 1v1s to Optic. This flag is 75% of the way there, and it looks like it's going in.
Just about. Still got some links to travel. Lucid trying to take it safe. Oh, I love that. He cuts the line of sight and slides, makes it impossible. It's as if, you know, I assume it's just everything the man does is calculated. Cuts the line of sight. Defense coming in from Optic as they look to avoid any chance for Native to get something going here.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Native, and this also, if they lose this game, means a 2-1 lead for Optic Gaming, and momentum on in their favor as well. Druk finally has the shotgun in hand, though. If he can play this well, and unfortunately he does it because he gets Taulek with a nade, they could potentially use his shotgun to do some work, but again, TriPPPeY's gonna kill him. Now TriPPPeY, once he gets his shields back, will have control of that shotty, and that will play a massive impact and potentially open up the map for another flagpole.
Native so aggressive, so fast. They're everywhere on the map. It's not coming together. Not when it matters. Not for advantages, that's for sure. 2 dead once again here. Entirety of Optic slaying out Lucid with a free pickup on rockets. He's got time, honestly, to consider his options here. We'll see what Native does in the push. Running out of time to find anything at this point, Tim. Just under 3 minutes.
Under 3 minutes, and they're stuck at their base. They finally get 2 slays here to open up the map just a bit, but again, you've got 1 rocket to deal with from Lucid. He's gonna whiff it, though. It's gonna be 2 dead once again for Optic. TriPPPeY's no shield. They gotta convert on this kill right away. But again, look at that. The low percentage kill out of TriPPPeY. This is what stops Native Red from being aggressive like they want to be. It's kills like that from TriPPPeY and everyone else on this Optic roster that stop those pushes and those potential flagpoles.
And you only expect it to continue, but Druk, he will keep on trying here. Going to find his way into the base. Early shots on a formal. There's a nice pickup. Multiple dead here, too. Native with a big opportunity. Trippy last up to deny it. Manny got a whiff of him, though. They'll chase him down. Druk with the flag out, looking to double up to get the kill here. Trippy, so elusive. He is wrapped through Treehouse. Come out the window. Found the damage onto Druk. Like, how did he live to survive 2 players chasing him down? That is potentially just axed this run, as Druk just barely gets it through the door. He is currently just trying to stay alive with the pressure from Optic.
He's just delayed there. You know, that damage was so important because that means for 5 seconds he's out of the fight. They get the overextensions on the base as well, and now Optic is in prime position to stop this flag from going in.
Got some work to do to take it through center. If anything, Optic is delaying any chance they'd have here. Less than a minute 30 to work with, and APG still finding pivs. Who dares to challenge him? Manny up next to the plate. He's got a thrust in the back pocket. You'll know he'll look to use it.
With a minute and 13 seconds, and that flag, of course, resetting, this is looking like it's not going to be a thing, unfortunately, but regardless, played really well in this game, and Native, you know, unfortunately, this map is very difficult, and I feel like I said before, Optic has just gotten better. At Bazaar, I feel like Bazaar, we talked about it before, you've got to slay multiple times. You've got to have that timing. Optic seemed to be pretty strong on this map opposed to how they were before. But maybe, you know, in the sense of the next game type, maybe Native are stronger on that game type. Maybe it's more of a fast-paced game type. I don't see Bazaar being a fast-paced game type. I see it being more structured, and so in that, you know, favoring Optic.
And I think that's what we're seeing with Native is they're trying to play it fast. Maybe too fast for their own good, you know, kind of just headbutting, and it's just not quite going through. And Optic seem to have a read on the situation here. They coordinate well off each other. When it does come to executing quickly, they know how to do it. Like, that, we didn't get to see it, but the Lucid flag run that he pulled off earlier, one of the quickest, most efficient ways to get that flag across when you got the timing to do so. When it comes down to coordination in this one, I mean, Optic, they just lock it down. And Tim, I hate to say it, you know, shooting bodies in Halo, as powerful as it can be on the mental for your opponents, it's a risky endeavor to take, isn't it? Right? Because you put that same mental pressure on yourself. If you shoot the body of Formal to close game 1, Druk, understand that you're putting yourself in that same kind of position to continue to make big plays.
Yeah, it's all like a confidence thing. You know, you're shooting that body to potentially give yourself some confidence, but if it's not lasting confidence, it's going to come back to bite you and look like it did right there for Druk, like you said.
But pros are well aware of that double-edged sword, though, and it needs to happen, right? Like, that it's not that he shouldn't have done that. It's good that he does that, because that's the only hope that I think, you know, a team like Native would have to really upset this team, is get in their heads. It's important. That's all part of the, you know, the competitive meta. You just run the risk at the same time. That's the beauty of it all.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, Druk having a little bit of a rough time here, 11-21, but regardless, like I said, that map plays very, very differently, and I don't think it really benefits this roster, this aggressive roster, as well as some other game types. So we'll see, you know, when we take a look at that series layout later on, we'll see if this potential next game type is a chance for maybe them to get that game number 2 win, but right now, Optic are in a position to end this series right here, and as we can see it right there, it's going to be Oddball Streets, another setup-based game type, and Optic very solid on this map.
I do think Native have a good shot here, though, Tim. This is a map that lends to their playstyle way better. Smaller map, one that their aggressive play, they can kind of weave in and out to get in and out of fights, and also collapse on spawns in a way that not many teams can replicate. I think the speed of play out of Native in a map like this gives them a shot at making a comeback. Now, Slayer Aquarius will be a different story if we get there. We got to see some well-coordinated answers here out of Native. I think it's still possible for them.
One of the big things that I got to point out is capture the flag on Bazaar, right? They were kind of trading in power-ups there. They're able to trade in power-ups and power weapons. You know, there's times where Native Red had control. They weren't really able to convert off of those, but Streets is a map all about that. There's so much on the map to control. There's so much on the map to time. And, you know, all the faith in, of course, Lunchbox and of course, the coach of Native Red as well, to be able to make sure that the teams are set up and on top of those timers and on top of those power weapons, in order to give them that edge here. Like you said, I think this map definitely favors Native Red in terms of their playstyle, just because of how, you know, small it is. It's one of the smallest maps that we have in the HCS right now, so we'll see if that can convert them into a win.
Close quarters also means the shotgun is very powerful. TriPPPeY showing us why. Looks like SoulSnipe slipped away with the rocket, though. Good. Oh, holy neat. Doesn't quite get anything with the first one. At the very least, he locked down the ball here. Clean up APG. There's a nice start for him. Teammate, that's a Taulek to work off of to hopefully get the best of this early team fight and set up opportunity for Native if they do it.
That was an incredible thrust right there by SoulSnipe. You talked about positioning before. Able to thrust himself to the right to get that cover from the stairs and not go down in this situation. Unfortunately, Optic is really quick to react, and that ball will be down, and they will not get any time off of this. But it comes down to the couple kills here, and that one from Manny's going to be huge because now it looks like Native Red do have a numbers advantage for a second, but Optic once again getting the trades.
Finding their way in the backseat, picking up the ball as well. Still some fights left to be had, though, to secure a setup here. Manny gonna show us why they're the fastest on the map. Immediately back into C, right up into Lucid's face. There's the first for the cleanup. Taulek down for the count. Manny, oh, I love the attempt. Doing damage, trying to stay up. Not quite enough, and you can see them starting to try to pick up on the slack as quickly as they can, make the rotation, and get the kills to back C so they have that numbers advantage constantly. Wow, SoulSnipe.
Beautiful nade by SoulSnipe to take out APG there. APG was going to try and milk his life as long as possible with all of his team spawning on that B side. Could have potentially been devastating for Native Red, but now they're in a position where they've got to rotate this ball out. But look how fast Optic is on the rotation. They get the slays, and now they have control of Tram once again, and as well as the power weapons.
Optic unified on this one. They've lost 2. Going to have to keep the suppressing fire up if they want a chance to get the rockets here, though. Formal in trouble. He's getting tagged. Manny with line of sight. Taulek can use that as an opportunity to clean him up. And now they got the rockets, they got the ball, and SoulSnipe, he's doing what he does best. Looking for spawners.
That's 2 rockets now for Native Red. I spoke about that at the beginning of this game. SoulSnipe able to utilize both of those. Potentially a nice flank, but Formal stays alive. That was a good life. You have every right to ooh there, because if Formal was able to live in that situation, I really do think that he could have potentially been one of the factors to break this setup, but it looks like Native Red are starting to get some ball time on the board. They're at 25 seconds, and they've got a little bit of a hold here, but look at that triple push, and once again, Lucid in a position to get a huge kill.
Sneaky at a Lucid. And that's right, Tim. If the difference between death and survival is a skill jump, expect to hear me say, ooh. In response to it. Of course, he died only shortly after, and that's just the beauty of the risk reward. Lucid, though, with good positioning and a rotation, he finds his way to the ball and some artillery to work with if he needs it.
Oh, everything he needs. He's got the Bulldog and the Stalker. I would expect him maybe to drop one of those off to his teammate here. And instead, he's like, here, take this ball. I'll do the slaying, says Lucid. Already starting off real strong here, 8-3. Having a little bit of a slow first game, but like I said before, the man has multiple levels to his gameplay. His worst is some people's best in this league, and it's just great to see him finally stepping it up just a bit here, but all 4 dead go Optic.
SoulSnipe popping off in this one. Take a quick peek at the board at 12-2-3. Far and away the kill leader in this one. And Native Red playing around it. Honestly, SoulSnipe should probably just send the ball over to a teammate. He's on a tear. But due to the positioning here, Native, they've got an opportunity to keep this pressure up. Spawner's now stuck back of A, trying to delay the situation and hopes for rockets here, and Druk looking for victims.
Hey, you talked about SoulSnipe dropping that ball, but coming from SoulSnipe himself, he's one of the few pure OBJ players in the league, so doing it all when he needs to. One of the things he's been working on, when I talked to him previously, he's working on playing his life a lot more, which obviously is working out because he's 13-3.
Apparently he's been working on playing with rockets a little bit more, too. He's had every single rocket this game, I think the 3 in a row. Didn't quite find any picks with that one, though. Lucid trying to stay up in the meantime. This man just knows how to survive. Just jumping on the bench. Any delay that you can do in that situation is huge, though. You give Optic an opportunity to collect off of the damage, collect off of the distraction. Despite it, it does look like Native continue to hold the ball, keep things tricky.
You know how important nades are in Halo there. Took him 3 nades to kill Lucid in that situation, so that's less resources, of course, for Native Red to use. Yes, playing your life is so very important here. 13-4. Make that 14-4 out of SoulSnipe. Absolutely popping off, putting in tons of damage. 3 dead again for Optic, and some more ball time here for Native Red.
I felt it coming into this one. Native, this map, this game type just lends well to their play style. Optic have to work extra hard to break through, and Formal, you know he was looking for it. Not quite going to get the second kill. Manny still on top of the ball. TriPPPeY and Optic working together to pick up the slack. Cleans up SoulSnipe. First job done. APG here in position to collapse and keep the numbers advantage on their side. You can see they're rotating the ball while it happens. Oh, my.
My goodness, that stick was so huge. You saw APG right there. He's trying to take control of that B rail side. Such a strong position for Native Red to be. But he ends up getting a kill. They end up trading. Now Optic able to put some time on the board. A 3v3 situation now, but guess who's got the shotgun in hand? It's going to be Lucid, and him putting this to work is going to be devastating for the lead you just took so long to build.
Huge momentum opportunity for Optic. They've got the resources. They've locked down ball. Rockets now popping up as well. APG in a great spot over by ATM, and TriPPPeY with an angle to support him. That's a guaranteed rocket. The first one over to Optic, and maybe the start of something big for this team. Tim, a little worried about Native if they play this well.
Yeah, we've got to talk about that, right? Look how close this game is. We're within 20 seconds now, and Optic haven't really had many power weapons to work with in terms of these rockets and Stalker. He has to use one, which is really good by Taulek, because now, you know, the rockets are not in play anymore. APG does get a double, 3 dead for Native, but a great trade once again. It's going to prevent any of this push from happening, and that shotgun finally leaving the hands of Lucid.
It was looking scary for APG for a second, but he made up for it, I think, by cleaning up too, doing as much damage as he could before he died, managing to keep Optic on that side of the map, keep them near the ball. Timer against them at this point, though, 46 on the clock. Native Red with a quick little rotation, thanks to SoulSnipe to get the ball hopefully out of C. Druk, massive kill on the APG. Gonna give him a little lease on life to collect the ball and keep things scrappy here. They could play to close it out. They could try to keep that C-side setup. They could maybe play to time, but I think winning the round with the ball would be the play here, Tim.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think they want to take the risk from Optic, you know, making a push here if they just play the time. But regardless, Druk will drop the ball. And, you know, something I'm really noticing, Alex, is that Druk had a really slow for game number 2. Yeah. But I mean, in this next game, he's just playing incredible. 12 and 13. He's had some massive plays, most ball time on his squad as well. Great job by Druk, but unfortunately, SoulSnipe is in a position where he could have played that ball, and he doesn't.
Native, they play well off the cover, right? Play well off the geometry on the map, and Bazaar just doesn't have a lot of it in center map. If you're running fast, you're playing aggressive, and you don't have an exit strategy, you're in trouble. But on a map like this, Native, they can reign supreme. 4 seconds on that timer, now paused. Optic, they pick it up. They try to keep this in play. Double dilemma for them. They got to get their slays, maybe get the rockets here as well. And if they don't do it, then Native, they can play this slow. They can pick up rockets and counter with them.
We've got to talk about that. We've got to talk about that nade. That almost cost them that round right there. Unfortunately, Druk, as I'm talking about him making big plays, does get the nade onto his teammate Taulek. It could have cost them the round, but they play aggressive enough to catch Optic off guard. And now we're going into a round number 2 where Native is leading 1-0.
And Native set the momentum in round 1 off the opening strat. So once again, here we are with a map flip this time, looking to win it. TriPPPeY with the first kill. TriPPPeY, beautiful rotation. He finds 2 to start it out. APG with the 3rd. Is it going to be a full team wipe? Not quite. Taulek will even the odds a little bit, but Optic, they come out on top with the rockets and the ball off the opening.
Yeah, and that was a big kill right there because that allows Optic to get that Bulldog in hands on the purple side. But look at the PD spawn. 2 of Native Red spawn and PD. Formal big kills out of him right now. He knows Druk is there as well and gets the trade onto him. Beautiful job by Formal. If he can get this 3rd, it'll be huge. But a clutch kill by SoulSnipe. Gonna stop that from happening. And now it looks like Native Red have control of the purple side of the map.
They're gonna have to get away from TriPPPeY though. Man coming in full shields with a cleanup of his own. Making a double just to answer Lucid here. APG with them. They can take back A side and get a setup started. Something we didn't see in round 1. This high ground control so important for angles, for keeping Native at bay. But look at the 2 split. They got to push up on this 2 cafe. 2 coming in with a pinch. Well coordinated here out of Native.
TriPPPeY gets that spawn though on the flank here. He's able to potentially convert on 1, but can he convert on the 2nd? He does. Great trades there. It's a 1v1 situation now. Ball, though, on the side of Native Red, who are also going to get the spawns, the favorable spawns on back A.
That ball still trading hands there. Back A. Druk finally with it. The first large bout of time I think we'll see in this game. In this round, at least. TriPPPeY does have Stalker. APG already pushed up here, getting involved. Risky business to do if the team's not there to pick up off of it. Apparently, Formal gonna get knocked down a peg as well. That will slow Optic Gaming down. They're gonna have to think about this push and make sure they have their numbers with Rocket Center here.
And every time we switch to TriPPPeY, he's always got a power weapon in his hands. It's most of the time the Bulldog. Now he's got the Stalker as well.
Nice.
Once again, putting it to work, and now it's going to be up to Druk to try and rotate out here, but look at the pinch coming from Optic.
Got to be so quick with this. They split the spawns out to C when they do it. They managed to rotate the rockets out, avoid getting shot from behind here too, so beautiful little setup, Tim. Great opportunity.
Second rocket goes in the hands of Optic Gaming. We saw what that first rocket that they got in this game did for them.
Nice.
Got them really close to potentially winning that round number 1. And now it looks like with the power weapon control in their hands, they're pushing for this lead in this round number 2.
Nice trade. TriPPPeY always finding an answer there. To make things a little bit more difficult for Native to push up the hill. Lucid, I like the positioning. Sometimes you see these players get in little advanced positionings farther forward than you'd expect to flank you as you try to get aggressive. Lucid, he's going for it all, though. Why not keep Native far away from the ball? Formal was actually maybe looking to rotate off of it. Gonna have to change his mind.
That's a great thing you bring up right there. And you know what? Druk was completely prepared for that. And because of that, they get 2 dead. And now look at the speed of Native Red. This is how they need to play when you got someone like TriPPPeY and Lucid who get the favorable spawns. It makes it very difficult to convert any ball time. And that Bulldog, I'm going to keep talking about it because it's such a huge factor. Optic have pretty much had the Bulldog for this entire series. In every game type that has a Bulldog, Optic have had that. Native Red have to make sure that that's a priority. They have to make sure that they're playing their life with that Bulldog because it can be a devastating blow if they let Optic have that any longer.
Notice Optic are doing what they tried to just previously is anticipate the collapse from B side and rotate the ball to C to get away from Native and make it impossible for them to get their hands on it. And this time it's working. Rocket's about to pop up, though, well, I say it. See if Native's in position to get it. Lucid's already center map for that. Formal just denying people left and right as it happens. Lucid already a pick up with the Rockets. Taulek now, they're down numbers. They got no choice but to back off, and Formal wants a piece of it.
Yeah, Formal very, very confident there. The Rockets do fall once again at the bottom of B stairs, but TriPPPeY does pick them up, and again, another rocket in the hands of Optic when they're up 79-43 is not good. Optic look to tie this game up of Oddball right now. They're down 1 round at the moment, but TriPPPeY, with this rotation, could potentially close this game out, or close this round out, I'm sorry.
Seconds ticking away. One final push here for Native to make it happen. They need to win. They're slaves to do this, and so far, not so good. Massive shutdown. Formal APG denying the opposition here. Native, they've got no hope to break through this one. That's a tie on the rounds and potentially the final round of the series right here, Tim.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because Native Red won the very first round, of course, and now momentum is on the side of Optic. Optic have adapted. Like you mentioned at the very beginning of this series, they've adapted really well. In that round number 2, they were able to isolate players from Native Red and prevent them from, being on the flank and being on those pushes. And also, they've adapted to getting those power weapons in that second round.
Lucid, Formal working well together with the high ground, though. They played it very slow off the opening strat, and that's the beauty of spawning on that high side of the map is you don't have to get hyper-aggressive. You can read the approach of Native, shut them down, and find that little opening to collect ball, get the setup going. Looks like SoulSnipe somehow slipped out with the Rockets. Well, it all went down, though. Still got 2 to burn. He'll find his life instead. Manny in position to pick him up, and he's just got to shoot him out. Avoid Optic from getting him.
Oh, and the Bulldog on the floor as well. And look who's going to pick it up once again. They got the Rockets, but Native Red weren't able to get that Bulldog, and they weren't able to get out and rotate as well because Optic did such a great job on the pinch. Optic now matching the aggression of Native Red, and that's exactly what they didn't need to do against a roster like this.
APG just surviving here. Back alley doesn't quite come out with his life, though. Taulek on top of that one. Still has a sentinel beam back pocket. Ball in the hands of Native. Lucid just getting info. Definitely doesn't want to just throw himself out and have an average death here. They got to play this so carefully to break the setup and then create one of their own. Deny the opportunity for Native to bring their numbers back into C.
Great kill there by Lucid. That's going to be 3 dead. 4 Native. Make that 4. And he's the first one to spawn. He's got to make sure he plays his life here and plays slow. Gets his teammates to spawn on that red room potentially. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. But all the while, Optic looking to get the first lead of the series here. Native Red have started really strong pretty much every round of Oddball thus far, but Optic always have an answer.
SoulSnipe just poking and prodding. I mean, take a look at his score line, by the way. 33 kills. He keeps finding slays and then just getting out, you know, kind of like a weasel. He's just so difficult to kill. Lucid finally gets him. There's the boxer medal for it. Shots into Manny as well. Snaps onto Taulek. He's doing damage to everybody. Is it enough to shut Native down from stopping the advances here of Optic? They got the A-side spawns. What they don't have is Taulek here being a nuisance.
Finally, Native Red get another rocket in their hands, and with Optic Gaming spawning on that PD side, it looks like they're playing kind of slow. No, they're not. They lagged out of the game, so it looks like we might replay this last round, but
it's like a little too
I'll
slow.
let you know once we find out. Yeah, just a little too slow right there. Gotta speed it up just a bit, but regardless, a great round number 3 from both squads, and you know, we started to see that power weapon control go in the form of Optic at that point, but then, you know, towards the last couple seconds of that game, we started to see Native Red taking control, and those rockets, like I talked about, are very, very important. So we'll see if this is a reset. We'll get back to you, but a great match. You didn't expect Native Red to really keep up on the Oddball.
They've definitely given us a surprise. We're getting an update on the points, I think. One more time. Or I'll hear it in a second, I'm sure. There's no way, unless we do a full reset on that round, I think it might be possible. It will be different points. Okay. But we're going to find out
point
soon,
differential
is what I've heard. Yeah, there will be a point differential. We don't know exactly what it'll be. We'll find out. We'll let you guys know. Unfortunate, of course. I'm going to take the glass half full approach, Tim, and say that is the first disconnect we've seen all tournament. It's been damn
You're right.
It's been incredible. So hopefully we don't see it again. What a series this has been as well. Quite a surprise. I mean, FaZe and Sentinels went the distance. This has the same potential, it seems.
Yeah, I agree. I thought we were going to see kind of a lopsided match. Of course, Optic have the chance to close out here, and they're going to get a chance now to kind of go over things. And we know when they talk as a team, things happen. But you know, same thing on the other end of things as well. I feel like Native Red are looking really strong. Look at SoulSnipe. He talked about himself being, you know, that objective player, you know, the player that's, you know, is just pure objective. But we're seeing a different SoulSnipe right now. 8,400 damage out of him. I believe he had 30 seconds of ball time as well. So just an incredible performance that I kind of want to point out. But then you look on the other end of things, and TriPPPeY. He's been having an incredible tournament thus far.
Definitely a bit of a head-to-head, I think, with SoulSnipe and TriPPPeY. I think TriPPPeY had just about the same number of slays coming out of that little pause for us as well. So, you know, just making big plays when they count, creating openings for the team to get those setups and lock things down. You expect to see SoulSnipe keep that up. I wonder whether or not Native can carry this energy for much longer, though, Tim. I'm worried about, let's say they do take this, which unreal. You know, Game 5 in this series, not what we expected. When it comes down to Slayer, We've witnessed a Slayer in this series. The only very lopsided game, nearly a stake, was in Slayer, and that was handed by Optic. So it's just hard not to lean that direction if we get there.
Right. Very good point. Yeah, there's Slayer, you know, definitely in the favor of Optic. Optic, a very, very solid Slayer team. And like you said, I think I want to point out one of the big things you said, and that was the endurance of this roster. Do they have enough to keep putting energy in? Like, you know, endurance is a big factor when you're playing the very best Halo you can possible. You know, you can only do that for so long. And you know, maybe, you know, we know this Optic roster has been through the ringer. They are endurance. They are the definition of endurance on a team. But is it the same for Native Red? You know, are they going to be able to keep pushing forward and giving their best effort?
Right. And I think when you say endurance, it's not just like, it's not like these boys don't already play hours on end every day, right? Like they've got endurance to game. That's not the problem. It's flow state, right? Him being able to achieve and stay in flow state at the top of your game, I must only assume is a monumentous task. It must be so difficult. And to have your flow state broken mid-series like that can be a massive challenge. I think this is a true test of whether a team can kind of get back into that swing and recreate that speed of play, that momentum that they had gained to get this far. You know, I think it's up to Native to try to find that. Optic, no doubt, they've been here many times. It's something they maintained in scrims at the very least. And online tourneys, I can't wait to see this carry further today, Tim.
All right, so it looks like a round replay in Game 4 due to lag out is going to be the ruling. That's on the bottom left of the screen there. So it looks like we will replay this round number 3. So that's what I thought would happen, and that's really interesting because it kind of sets both teams have one round. Now we kind of restart here, and I want to point out, Alex, that we saw Native Red with some very strong starts in this oddball game in each and every round, but Optic always there to answer in the latter half of the round. So we'll see if that changes here coming up when we get this restart going.
Very back and forth, for sure, Tim. It's been a good series, just good Halo played. I think one of the biggest things we saw from Optic was the A-side setup in that previous round. They've been prioritizing it more, and predicting the push from Native, they seem to prioritize B-side push through PD to try to take over A. They take advantage of that opportunity to rotate the ball through the alley, bring it to the C setup. So just being elusive, playing off each other, Optic doing a good job, kind of fending off the aggression of Native. I think the question here is, can Native break through? Can SoulSnipe keep doing his thing, right? Getting some of those
right.
cheeky kills and then curb sliding out of the fight, getting out, staying alive, and creating opportunities for Native.
Like you talked about, the flow state, it takes a lot of energy to play that high level of a game against that high level of a team in Optic. It just does. And if you've been in the competitive scene, you know just that. But here we go. This is the round-deciding game, the round-deciding round right here. Both teams are tied up 1-1 due to a lag out. We have a little bit of a restart. Win that power weapon control once again. 3 dead just a second ago for Native Red, and Optic looking to take control. They're starting this round off very strong, and this is a stark contrast from what we've seen in the previous rounds.
And the faith out of Formal right there, too. Not even contribute to the rest of that fight. Know his teammates had a lock on that. Lucid! I mean, when you got Lucid on your team and a shotgun in his hands, I understand why Formal went for ball.
Lucid's like, drop what weapon? The switch was so very quick there.
Yep.
Incredible job by him. The timing obviously being practiced here. That drop weapon being GA'd. TriPPPeY, once again, with power weapon control, and it feels like I'm a broken record when I say this because every single time we switch to his POV, he's got the power weapons and he's putting damage into everyone on Native Red.
This is the frightening reality of Streets, is if you let a team get ahead like this and get the weapons and the info on spawns, I mean, look at them start to clean it up. Formal with a double, a killing spree, new rockets up, and no hope for Native. They don't have the numbers to get to rockets, so it's just the compiling effect at this point. APG's going to grab rocks. Formal's not missing a beat. They are being collapsed on in a massive way. Here, Tim, we talked about mental destruction and breaking out of flow state. I think all of that has happened.
I agree. All of that has happened, and I did hear that we did lose audio on the stream, so I'll be your audio. Rockets, rockets, boom, boom. But regardless, that's basically all we're hearing on this Optic roster. Look at the score right now, 78-0. They are just demolishing the competition. Finally, Native Red find a break, but is it enough? This ball is getting rotated.
I mean, the thing is, you might not have to worry, chat. This might not last long, this whole situation at this point. Native with their first hands on the ball, so, maybe I've spoken too soon. Maybe they can flip things around, but one thing is undeniable, and it's the momentum that Optic have gained off that single ball hold. 84 points, confidence in their side. SoulSnipe, it's his task to try to fight his way out of it.
16 seconds left for Optic, and they're counting those seconds down. The push from Druk is going to be unfortunate because he's alone, and because of that, because he's staggered, he has no choice. He gets taken out. Optic are going to close out the series right here, 3-1 against Native Red. But what a fight we just witnessed. Native Red looking really solid, unfortunately, till that reset. And again, we talk about it again and again and again. Endurance. Being in that situation, you talked about flow state. I'm going to bring it up again because I love it. I love talking about flow state. You talked about flow state, and when that happens, when a lag out happens, that flow state is broken. What makes a veteran, what makes one of the best players in the game, what makes the best players in the game is making sure that you get back into it again when the time comes, and that's exactly what Optic did. They looked even better than they looked in any other round coming into
whole
that
series.
reset.
They
Right.
looked insane coming back into that. That was just unbelievably dominant. And it's not a true goose, but I think Manny unfortunately didn't have a kill that round. We had I think one kill maybe for Druk. Like it was just absolute domination, no matter how you look at it, and that's gotta burn. If you're native, getting that close to greatness, having such nail-biter games throughout, winning game 1 as well, and letting us, proving to us that native can hang with the best in the world. I think that's something they proved back in HCS, time and time again. They've found this wall that they can't seem to climb over. This time it's a green wall, I guess, Tim. But they're so close to greatness, and it just seems like a heartbreaking defeat every time. Hopefully they regain and stay in this because they're still in the tournament.
Yeah, and you said it best right there. I always talked about that when they were KCP back in the day. I always talked about there being a peak that they've reached, and to break through that, some fundamental things have to change, and I'm sure they've been working on stuff. I definitely know that all 4 of these players are grinders, and they're definitely doing VOD review, and they're definitely working on different things, but there's something that's kind of holding them back from being that top 4 team. Consistently they were placing in the top 8, I believe, top 6, but to break through that, it's going to be difficult because so many things have to change and so many just maybe bad habits have to change as well. But Optic, once again, showing that there's, Tony says it best, there's levels to this. And, Optic has turned up the notch in that last game to show what they're capable of. And they're just an incredibly strong team. But now, Native Red have to fight a very angry Cloud9 in the lower bracket. So, I mean, Cloud9 going into lower bracket because they got 3-0'd by FaZe, but since then have been fighting to continue. So Native Red are going to go ahead and face them. But regardless, just a great series. And I think Native Red, like I said, put up a good fight against one of the best teams in the world.